Welcome back to the Helotes Echo YouTube channel. It's November 17th, game week, which means it's football area round. All four Northside schools are still in the running for the state championship. In Division 1, you've got OConnor versus Converse Judson and Stevens versus Reagan this weekend. Division 2 is Brennan versus Steele and Brandeis versus Judson. So let's start first with Division 1. You have OConnor versus Converse Judson Friday night at 7:30 at Alamo Stadium. OConnor beat Southwest 49-14 in the by-district. Judson beat Churchill 28-10. So how do you see that one? You got 8-2 OConnor and 7-4 Judson.
It's going to be interesting. The first thing is Coach Molesky at O'Connor's alma mater he's going against.
And Judson.
In fact, he won a state championship in 1983, so
yeah.
That should be an interesting matchup.
For one thing, Coach Molesky at OConnor played at Judson when they won a state championship in 1983, and he's gone against them in previous years. I think they beat him in 2012, so that's going to be a good matchup. I'm looking at it on paper, it looks like Judson should be the favorite, and that's who we should go with, but you know, there's just something about O'Connor right now, the way they're playing, and they're like last week, their defense was outstanding. Eric Vaughn. Yeah, he had 3 of the 5 interceptions, and Daryl Godfrey gets 2 more, and takes them both back for pick sixes. And offense, and they had a few little turnovers, but they overcame it. And that game is going to be who does not make the turnovers, and I'm going to probably give it to O'Connor this week to pull that out. Moving on to the other Division 1 area round matchup, you got 8-3 Stevens, who defeated East Central 51-22 in by-district, going up against 10-1 Reagan, who had a tough Smithson Valley hang close with them before they won 21-14. That game is 4 p.m. Saturday at the Alamo Dome. That's the first part of a doubleheader that we'll get more into as this goes on. But first, let's talk about Stevens versus Reagan. How do you see that one going? Reagan looks very good right now. They won their district, and they lost O'Connor early in the year, and since then they've been on a row, played very good ball control offense, but they can hit the big one. And they also are playing really good defense right now. Stevens is looking good too. Stevens is very explosive on offense, and they also created turnovers last week. I think they had like, what, maybe 5 or 6 interceptions or 7, something like that. I forgot. And their offense is really putting points on the board. They had 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions. Their quarterback, but he also threw for 4 touchdowns. And right now, I had to give the edge to Reagan just because of their steady play right now. But it will not surprise me if we're talking about Stevens next week. How about you?
I've been wrong on my predictions the last, I guess, 4 weeks in a row. So I'm going to pick Reagan and hope that it's 5 weeks in a row that I'm wrong.
All right.
So Falcons prove me wrong. Now let's move on to Division 2. Friday night we have Brandeis versus Johnson at the Alamo Dome. That's a rematch of last year's area round game that Johnson won, I believe, in overtime.
Yes.
And last week Brandeis had little trouble with Corpus Christi Carroll as they won 63-14, and Johnson beat Schertz Clemens 21-7. So how do you see Brandeis versus Johnson Part 2 going?
That's funny. It seems like they played each other forever since they both came in. They came in the same year. They came into the varsity football. Right now, I know they lost last year, but Johnson's not the same team. They lost a lot of players, and Brandeis is just much better than they were last year.
So you think they get revenge
on
Johnson?
Very much so. They already beat him earlier in the year, I believe. And this, Brandeis right now is just like a machine. Is running well, they're passing well when they have to, and the defense is just solid. So I don't see Brandeis falling at all. In fact, I see them going to the regional finals,
where they would possibly play the winner. That's 2 rounds from now, but they could possibly play the winner of our next area round matchup, which is the 11-0 Brennan Not Afraid of 6A Bears, who beat Corpus Christi King 29-0. And the Cibolo Steele Machine that beat MacArthur 70-21 last week and enter the game at 10-1. That's the second part of the doubleheader at the Alamo Dome on Saturday. That game is 8 o'clock. And what do you see that one shaping up to be? Very much anticipated.
Oh yeah, that's the one everybody's been wanting to see all year, because you got to wait till 8 o'clock at night to see it. If you're lucky at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like getting married, you're sitting there all day, like those players, like, oh, I got to wait till 8 o'clock. That's why you should always get married during the day or afternoon.
Well, and some people would argue, that's a game that should have been the regional final, but it's just the way the bracket shaped up that they have to play each other in the second round, and one of these 2 teams will be starting their fandom of basketball Saturday night.
Next week, and it's a shame both of them won the district championship. I guess that's the price they get for being so good. But it's going to be. I hope it. These games sometimes are hyped up, and someone always blows the other way. I hope this game lives up to its expectations. I really do, because both teams are very talented.
Yeah, I would see. Who do you think wins?
I'm going with Brennan. I've seen both, and there's just something about Brennan that's just very impressive. quarterback. He's healthy again. He's looking really good.
And if he can't go, they got Toll-Free, who showed he could step up.
I mean, this kid was a freshman.
Yeah.
My gosh, what are they getting these guys?
The future is bright.
That is very good. I think he goes. He's not going to miss a game like this.
No.
And right now, the entire offense is putting points on the board, and the defense is just standing out. I think they can pull this one out.
I like Brennan too. So now let's move on from the North Side schools, and one of our private schools was in the football playoffs this week, and that was the Atonement Crusaders. They took on the El Paso Faith Christian Academy, and unfortunately their season came to an end with a 73-26 loss to El Paso. That game marked the last game in the red and black of Atonement for 8 seniors. Also this past weekend, the San Antonio Scorpions joined the Spurs as champions of their respective league representing San Antonio with a 2-1 win on Saturday over Fort Lauderdale. And Saturday also saw the magical run of the Clark Cougars volleyball team come to an end. And Pat, you were along for a good amount of that ride.
Great season. I mean, they were really impressive. I saw Clark early in the year, and I thought, this is a pretty good team. And every time I saw them, they got better. Christian Daniel took them to a second place finish to OConnor, and then they got in the playoffs, and second round they beat Reagan. Then they had to be a very good Canyon team that was playing well, and just
that was the team I picked to win Region 4.
A lot of people were thinking that because they were on a roll then, and then I was thinking maybe Canyon, and Canyon just went in there and just played outstanding. There was a couple of close sets, but that last one they just dominated. They hit everything that came their way, and then
they ran into
at Churchill. But golly, they took them in 5 sets. They were down by 8 in the fourth. It looked like, well, they're going to lose this one, and boom, here they came back and sent it to 5. And God, what a team! I mean, some of those girls are coming back. So look for Clark to be really strong next year too.
Well, we'd like to say congratulations to the Cougars on their successful season, even though it fell short of the 5-hour trip up to Garland for the state Final Four. It was still quite a season.
Oh yeah.
And that has been this week's Game of the Week. Next week, hopefully we're previewing third round football, but for sure we will be having a couple of basketball games starting to sneak up on us as Game of the Week. So check back next week to see what Game of the Week we have in store for you then.